Hello, everybody. We are live from Amsterdam, the Netherlands. The Motor City Mad Mile Show takes its first European major interview. First of all, we were supposed to go to Belgium yesterday, made it through the waters, never went to the port because of 50-mile-an-hour knots. So, do you consider it an official trip to Belgium? I don't know, but maybe my guest here, he can introduce himself. We'll talk a little bit about that question and a lot of other things as we get ready for the Motor City Mad Mile Show in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. And my special guest is
Blas, Blas Sanchez from Spain.
Blas Sanchez from Spain. Welcome to the big show. All right, so
Thank you.
first of all,
Thank you.
let's go to my question. 50 knots yesterday stopped us from getting to Belgium. We were in their waters. Does that constitute as an official visit to Belgium?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I think the official is like drinking beers, eating chocolate. Yeah, that would be the official thing to do there in Belgium. Well, it's okay. You were there. But I think it's more important the Netherlands in this area. If you compare them, I think it's more interesting. The country that you are visiting today with me. So that's nice.
All right, so it's really not considered an official visit, but we were there, right?
You were there, of course, you were there. I mean, it's always like if you're close to or you're in these waterways in Bruges or in Bruges or in Antwerp or in Ghent, you've been in Belgium. Actually, the Netherlands, Belgium, they used to be together like centuries ago. I mean, from the 1800s, they are like different countries, but they share, for example, the language, the Dutch, the north side of this Belgium area. They is called Flanders in Spanish. They are called Flemish, and the Flemish is a Dutch, is the Dutch language. So they are speaking the same way. Actually, in Belgium, they have something really weird in Europe that the north side of the country they want to. It's not that they want to be Dutch, but they like more the culture of the Dutch people because they are closer to them. And the south part of Belgium, that they are closer to France, they feel more close to that French area, and actually they speak French. It's weird because it's a country that they have three official languages. The north side is Dutch, the Dutch language. The south part is French, and then they have like a little area that they took after the Second World War that they speak German. So it's quite weird. The country actually is one of the official spots from the European Union. So it makes it a huge country, important one in Europe.
So, yes or no? Check it off the list. Yes or no? Belgium.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's good
yeah.
enough. I have a lot more to get to. Had to get that in the big show here. We're just getting started on the Motor City Mad Mouse show. Lots of interesting things that I've noticed by my tour guide, Blast. And let's talk about the blast amount of bicycles that we have, like 80%. So there's a two-part question to this. How many cars are actually in this place? Is it 20%? And you talked about electric and then 80% bikes?
Yeah, exactly. That's right now the race is like 80% of the population they are using bicycles or the public transportation, which is always electric. So it's like 80% of the population they are not consuming any kind of gasoline, and then we have the other 20% of the population that they are using cars or motorbikes. But from those 20%, not all of them they're using cars with gasoline. Actually, there's been like 10 years that they've been helping people to buy these electric cars. So I see more and more Teslas, more and more electric cars, and basically all the motorbikes that I see nowadays, they are electric bikes. Actually, in 2030, the city is not going to allow people with gasoline cars or motorbikes to get inside of the city. So this means that if you are nowadays thinking about buying a car or buying a motorbike, you have to go to the electric because otherwise you're not going to ride it in the city. So it's amazing. I mean, they've achieved it. This was a law that they created like 50 years ago in the 1973. They didn't want the people to be consuming oil because there was a huge crisis with this Israel-Palestine moment. So the countries with a lot of oil, they decided to higher the prices or to raise the prices. So then this country thought, okay, we cannot control the money because we have not oil. What we have to do is like make people not to be so obsessed with oil, and that's why they put this law that in the first place you find the bicycle, that is the most important thing in the city or in the country. Then you have the pedestrians below, then right below you have the motorbikes, and then below you have the last ones, the cars. So nobody wants to be in a car because that is super, it consumes your life and your mental health. Is quite crazy.
Well, not only that, almost like these people here are just so thick-skinned that they don't care about anything on the road. They're so focused being on that bicycle, even though they come in all different kinds of shapes and sizes. I see them rammed up against these little bikes all on the ground. It's unbelievable the way these things are all over the place.
Yeah, it's crazy. I always say that it looks like they make a pact with the devil because it's crazy. Like foreigners, when we come here, of course, we love bicycles and we ride them, but when it's today super windy, but if today was windy and also rainy, you can feel that the rain is like horizontal, so it's crazy. You cannot advance with the bicycle. But the Dutch, it seems that they don't care about it. It's like they don't get wet. It's that they don't feel the wind. They go fast, so they don't care. It's like they used any kind of different clothes, but they are always with the bicycles. So the rainy days, you're in the tram or in the bus, and then you look through the window, and then you say, okay, these are Dutch because they're using and they're riding the bicycles. All the foreigners, we are always using the public transportation.
We're going to get to a lot of the heavy stuff. I remember back in the days when I went to University of South Florida, I was involved in a debate group with three women, three of the nicest ladies I've ever been. And the subject that we ended up talking about, me being a sports person, get this, Blast, okay, with three women. And again, what a great time we had. And we ended up picking this subject called prostitution. The only thing I ever knew about prostitution was it was legal in Reno, Nevada, and select places around the world. Vegas, you could get away with it, and they were really lax with the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I never realized until you brought it to my attention that prostitution is a way of life out here in the
Totally.
Netherlands.
Totally. Actually, it's shocking because I think one of the most developed countries in the world with the when we are speaking about prostitution. Actually, it happens that in 1900 they decided to legalize it. So it's already this year 125 with prostitution legalized in the Netherlands. And they did it, guys, because basically they thought, okay, if a woman wants to sell her body and earn money from that, she has to have the right to make it. I mean, we are nobody to say that she cannot make it. But through history, they saw that they were always in distortion thing. Also, they were always with these pimps. So they wanted to legalize to see if this would help them to be free, let's say. Nowadays, after 125 years, still not is not they are not free, even though they want them to be free. It's quite complicated. Also, taking account that this country they have like an unemployment rate of 3%, and actually the average salary is around 300 and 3,500 euros, 4,000 euros. So with that nowadays, you can have a life, a good life. So yeah, why? Any woman would need to be a prostitute. Yeah, it's quite complicated. But the thing is that in the 2000s, they decided to go further, and it's not only that they are legalized; they are nowadays freelancers. So they are making a lot of money. They have to declare all that money. And actually, in the Netherlands, we have nowadays these 62,000 brut earnings. If you have more than that, if you make more than that, you have to give a 48% of the money that you earn, so taxes. And then if you're earning less, that would be a 37% taxes. So we pay a lot of taxes in the Netherlands, and we know that prostitutes they are one of the people that they are making this country a very wealthy country. So also Dutch from centuries, they are traders, they are like merchants, and they know that when something gives you money, you have to go for it. So if prostitutes, they are making money and they are helping society, they are helping people, and you go through the streets of Amsterdam, you're not gonna see poverty as we can see it in every other place in Europe or in the world. And then you realize that prostitutes are making this possible, then you go for it. I mean, they don't think about it. They are quite pragmatic. If this is working, yeah, we have to continue with it.
Where do rapes and abortion factor into this equation? Because when you have some sort of sexual activity, we also talk about reproduction and, of course, safety with rapes as well, because those go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think that why here in the Netherlands, I think like the rapes ratios are lower than in the rest of the European Union, at least. I always like to say that it's not that everyone behaves here, because of course you have also some rapes news, but basically I think that they are educating people as very how would you say liberal. So just They have like this in their mind. You have to respect the person next to you because you want to be respected. And I think they learned from the past that if you want to live a good life, you need two things. First, money, not just money for you, money for the rest of society. I mean, the one that makes more money is the one that has to help the rest of the society, because there is an aspect in living a good life that it involves also involves that you see people having a good life as you. It's like it's not possible to have like a 5% of the population super rich people and then 95% of the population having a bad time. If you are okay with that, then it's something wrong with you. That is kind of a Dutch aspect that they have, so that helps them a lot in order to be not so violent. Actually, the violence rates or the unsafe feeling in the streets, it's quite low. Actually, if you compare with the rest of the world, a lot of people they come to the Netherlands and actually to Amsterdam, and it's a capital city. I mean, always the capital cities they are like dark. I mean, like problematic or whatever. And suddenly you don't have those problems, and I think it's because of the education they have. Since they are very small, very young, their parents they speak to them about sex, about drugs, about the kind of things that for me my parents they didn't told me about, because in the end it's like kind of I don't know. Yeah, it bothers I think parents, but here the Dutch they are quite open and they understand. Okay, if my children they know about this till they are, I mean, since they are like I don't know 6 7 8 years, then when they are in front of or in the moment, the right moment that they have to make a decision, they already have known this, they already know what to do. They can do it or they cannot do it, but at least as a father, as a parent, that they have the tools to do it. And this is something that I really like about this society. They're quite open, so they don't have like this feel of shame about these topics that in the rest of the world I think we have.
Are there a lot of single people here in the Netherlands? You refer to the cats and dogs analogy. Please elaborate.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of single people here. I think that also Dutch people, like normally, not all of them, but mostly, most of them, they are like quite pragmatic. They know what they want. So basically, it's not that easy for them to just feel, okay, this is the person I'm gonna be the rest of my life. They are like, okay, I want this. They are direct and they go for it. And actually, from the beginning, when they meet each other, they speak quite clearly about what they want, what can they offer to the other one. It's like if you think about a merchant, it's a merchant. I mean, it's like, okay, we can be here speaking a long time, but okay, what are we gonna be here 2 hours speaking to each other if in the end we want to make a deal? And the deal can be making in 10 minutes. You tell me what you want, I tell you what you want, we make a deal. Let's do it. They are like this. So if you think about their lives, they are quite straightforward. So in the term of relationships, they are quite the same. I mean, they are always looking for something, and if they get it, they take it. But if they don't feel that is the right person, they just say like directly, okay, I'm leaving. I don't want this. And then, of course, there are a lot of single people.
Kind
Yeah.
of remind me a little bit of speed dating, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, yes. I mean, it's also taking account that I'm, for example, from Spain, and we are like, okay, it's not like we are from Central America or South America, but we are also like people that we like to speak a lot. We are always like not dramatic, but of course we like to share our feelings, and we are kind of always happy people, but also we get mad easily. The Dutch are more straight, It's not like this like roller coasting. It's more like straight. So they are like, yeah, like a line. Basically, their emotions they are always like in the same line. So in between them, that can help. But when they are with another cultures, it always happens that mostly everyone thinks like, oh my god, they are so no basic, because basic it sounds bad. It's not about bad. It's about, okay, I need a little bit or of emotions, and they have a lack of emotions. I think they feel, but they don't share. It's something like that. Let's say.
Not to say that there aren't marriages here, but obviously this is a more of a cat type of society where
Exactly,
it's more
exactly.
independent.
I was speaking with you. Sorry, because yeah, it's true. I was speaking to you about cats and dogs, and I always say that the Dutch are like cats. And actually, when people come here, the tourists, they see a lot of cats just behind the windows. And I always tell them, you know why they have so many cats? Because they are so independent. They are as independent as they are. But only because also here in the Netherlands, taking account that this was like a sailor area, ships, harbors. So there were a lot of mice, a lot of rats, and actually now nowadays we have a lot of mice in Amsterdam. So if you have a cat, just by the smell, you don't have mice in your house. So you get a profit from that animal. That is super important for the Dutch. It's a merchant. It's a guy that wants to take something from you. Otherwise, like the connection is not good because I cannot give to you something and not get something back. With the cat, you got it. With the dog, you don't get it because yeah, I mean the dog is always following you. It's super smart. It always gonna be next to you. But they are not like this. They don't need this kind of person that is always next to you because of nothing. They want people that they are next to you because they want something from you, and then you're getting something from them. So like cats, really, like cats. Yeah.
That's one analogy that I'll probably take here in this broadcast. Lessons from the Microphone is a book that I authored. Is available on Amazon, Kindle, and Barnes and Noble. This guy will probably be in the next version, but we're not done yet. We're just getting going here.
Perfect, perfect.
So as we continue on in the conversation,
Go.
Blas, let's talk about the drug situation. I know that you sell a lot of things on the streets
Yeah.
that you can get a little bit more liberal here than there are other places.
Yeah, actually, the first shocking thing, let's say, it would be like this coffee shop. When you come here and you are asking for a coffee shop, it's not a cafeteria or a place where you can have a cafe, only a coffee. You can also have a coffee, but of course, you're going there because you want to buy weed or hash. They have also these magic, let's say, cakes, space cakes, we call it here. And basically, those places are legalized. They were legalized also in the 1970s because they wanted to get rid of hard drugs. So the government in that moment just thought, okay, it's quite complicated to take a person from the hard drugs till the rehabilitation. So we need to offer them other kind of drugs, but drugs that they are not that doesn't make them so violent. That criminality rates they were quite high in that moment, so they decided, okay, if we allow them to smoke weed in the street and no police is gonna tell you anything, then probably a lot of people they're gonna stop with the heroin or the crack, and then they're gonna change to marijuana, to weed. And basically that's why they created the coffee shops. But basically, guys, the coffee shops are not working properly actually, because in this country you cannot well, basically you cannot plant or grow the weed. So this weed is taken from the outside of the country. So it doesn't work that clearly. It's always like in between this, yeah, white and black area, this gray zone, let's say. But anyways, it's quite important. A lot of people, when they come to the Netherlands and basically to Amsterdam, they always go to coffee shops. And the good thing is that it's not legalized to smoke in the street, but it's decriminalized. So basically, you can smoke a joint right here, and nobody's gonna tell you anything. If the police tells you you cannot smoke here, then you have to finish it. But if nobody tells you anything, you can just smoke it in the streets. So that's why when you come to Amsterdam, as many people they are riding bicycles and not using cars, but also in the city center, a lot of people they are smoking joints. The smell of Amsterdam is always like this kind of weed, sorry, or hash, and not like gasoline like in the rest of the world.
I don't know how big Aaron Rodgers is in the Netherlands, but I can say that it sounds like by your smoking policy, the word relax probably describes the climate of the nature of how you smoke and how you're able to relax and rest your mind in terms of meditation.
Yeah, I guess that the Dutch, as I told you, they are like quite pragmatic, and what they think is like, okay, if you want to drug yourself, I mean, if you want to be on drugs, it's okay. You're choosing that thing, but I want you to use these drugs. Why? Because these are better for me. I don't want criminalization. I don't want to be like a noisy person, a criminal person. So if you're just smoking hash or weed, you're gonna be like here hanging out, like watching the sky. I mean, thinking about your life. You're not noisy. You're like quiet. And if you're with somebody, maybe you are like talking a lot or laughing. But it's something that never goes to criminality. So they prefer this. It's like it's like the idea in between a father and your uncle. So your father has to be strict because he's your father, but your uncle can be like the cool uncle because he's your uncle. So this is the same. It's like the Dutch or the government and also the police. They are kind of an uncle. It's like they don't want to find you. They don't want to ban you. They don't want to forbid everything. What they want you is to let you know what can happen if you get this or other drugs, and then you can make the choice. But of course, we prefer you to choose this kind of drugs. So that's something. But also, I have to tell you, I think that Dutch nowadays they are not the ones that smoke so much weird. I think in the end it's more like the foreigners that we come here, and for example in our country we cannot smoke. Imagine in Spain you cannot smoke in the street, so suddenly you move to the Netherlands and you have the freedom to smoke here in the street. What do? Well, you try it. At least you try it. Maybe you can smoke more or less, but in the end it's like this freedom that allows you to do whatever you want to do if you're not bothering the other one. I mean, that's the main thing with the Dutch. The Dutch, they have like this thing, like if you don't bother me and I don't bother you, you can do whatever you want. Actually, in the city, you cannot drink a beer, you cannot drink alcohol. They have a fine of 100 euros. But actually, if you are like sitting like we are right now, and
Right.
then here we are with a Heineken, I wish we are not because it's horrible, but with another kind of beer, I see the police here, and the police, I can guarantee you, they are not gonna come here to ban you. They could do it in my country, in your country, because they are like always trying to get the money from the civils. But here in the Netherlands, the police is more relaxed. It's like if we are not making here like noise, they don't come.
All right, a few other points I want to get to in terms of tourism.
Yeah,
Number one, we talked about the windmill portion. Why don't you go ahead and elaborate on that? We'll get to the museums, and I have a couple other things I want to address before we close out the show. Let's
perfect.
talk about the windmills.
Nice. Well, the windmills they are the most important machine here in the Netherlands. Actually, it was the first, let's say, machine that arrived to Europe. They had them already in the 14th, 15th century, and this country is called the Netherlands because it's below sea level. So they have to drain a lot of territories with these machines, with the windmills, with an Archimedes screw, which is basically this screw that is turning against the direction of the clocks of the watch. Basically, they are draining the terrains. They can lift the waters from below levels to upper levels. So from the lowest points, they can, with the windmills, drain everything. So windmills here, guys, they were the most important thing you could have. Also, they managed to create a lot of ships thanks to the windmills, because the windmills, they are also sewing machines. They have this crankshaft on the top part that makes this circular movement of the asps, which is a horizontal movement, into vertical movement that allows them to cut, to saw all the wood. With all that wood, they would create ships, and with all these ships, they create a fleet. They created a fleet that was the largest fleet in the world in the 16th, 17th century. With that fleet, they created a monopoly of the spices, but also they were able to win a battle against the Spanish Empire. That was the empire that ruled this area, and then they became, in the middle of the 1600s, an independent republic. So yeah, the women's are like, nowadays we see them like heritage machine, but actually they are still in use. It's not that common because nowadays we have like the water pump machines, and we have like machines from the industrial revolution. They are more efficient, but still you have a lot of windmills here in the Netherlands.
Let's talk about museums. I know you have a lot of museums,
Yeah.
and then you can also double up on that with your downtown area. Combine the museums in your downtown area, and what do tourists have an opportunity to look forward to when they come to the Netherlands? Because you're a tour guide.
Okay, so basically right now we are in the Square Museum, or in the Museum Square, better said, and we have there right next to us the Rijksmuseum. The Rijksmuseum is the museum of the kingdom. So basically, if you want to see the best pieces of art of this country, and also Belgium and Luxembourg, they are there in the Rijksmuseum. But we have also, for example, the Van Gogh Museum in this street, I mean in this square, which is quite important because this Van Gogh, he became quite famous. But if you're in the city center, I mean, if you have just like, imagine 2 hours in the city center, you can just go, for example, for me the city itself is a museum. I mean, you don't need to go inside a museum. Even just walking the streets, the canals, you're gonna feel that you're inside of a museum. But for example, the red light district for me is super important. I mean, it's like super weird to see these window brothers with prostitutes. That is something. But also, for example, there are like these churches in this country nowadays. They have like 55% more or less of the population that they are atheistics or agnostics. So basically, a lot of churches, they have been transformed into other uses, and there are a lot that they are art centers, art areas. So in Dam Square directly, we have there the new church, the new Kerk, we call it here in Dutch. And new church is quite important because they have like super important exhibitions there. Also, it's important because we have a royal family in the Netherlands. This is the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and inside of that church is where they are crowned. So every time that we have a new king or queen, they go to that church, and they, in that moment, that church, it becomes a church, a real church. The rest of the year, the rest of the moments, it's always like a museum, but it's the important, let's say, church in the country because of the crownings.
I've been to Aruba several times. We talked about this earlier. I believe that Aruba is part of the Netherlands chain, isn't it?
I don't understand what is Rubus.
Aruba.
Ah, yeah, sorry.
Aruba. That's all right. I had a little bit there.
Sorry, Spanish, sorry,
No big
Spanish,
deal. Well,
sorry.
rubles, I think it's some sort of
Yeah,
a
actually,
uh,
yeah,
some sort of a monetary thing.
yeah,
No, we're talking Aruba down in the Netherlands, out in the Caribbean. And there,
exactly.
what a beautiful place you ever get to.
Yeah, actually, they had like, they were an empire, a slavery country here nowadays in Europe. They have like a lot of lands around the country, along the world, sorry. And basically, Aruba still is one. I mean, they have like these six islands in the Caribbean. Basically, it's Aruba, Bonaire. It's easy to learn because ABC, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. And then we have SSS, which is Saba, San Eustachio, and San Martin. San Martin is half Dutch, half French. And basically, those are still six islands that they have here. They call it the Dutch Antilles. And basically, guys, they were given the freedom to be independent or be inside of the country. And they had a deal, let's say, so they are a little bit of independent, but they are also part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. So basically we have like these two concepts. If we speak about the Netherlands is this area in Europe, this tiny country in Europe next to Germany, Belgium, and the North Sea. But if we're speaking about the Kingdom of the Netherlands, then inside of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, they go also these six islands. Suriname used to be also Dutch. Now in Suriname, from the 1975, they were independent, but taking account that they had also pieces of Brazil, they founded New Amsterdam. New Amsterdam nowadays is New York, but actually when you are in Amsterdam and you see the houses, maybe you relate them to some houses of the old New York, and those are like that because, well, they were there in 1614. Basically, also we have here a park, which is the Vondel Park, that if you see it from above, you're gonna find that it's the same design that they had in Central Park. Basically, from this park, from this design, they made the design of the Central Park in New York. So yeah, normally the United States is not aware of this. I don't know if you are or not, but actually the first seed that a European put in that north side of America, it was in New Amsterdam, these Dutch people, and they took there the capitalism, as I told you before, so the multinationals, the ideas of not a kingdom. They didn't want to have kings and queens because with a kingdom you wouldn't be what you wanted to be. You would be always below. But if you had a republic, that idea that they created here in the 1648, that allow you to be a windmiller, but a person that could basically achieve their goals. And this in Europe in the 1600s, it was impossible. And the Dutch made it possible, and they wanted to take it to America. And that's why New Amsterdam was a city from the first beginning with a lot of immigrants, with people that they went there in order to make a good life, to, scale, let's say.
One thing that a lot of people should not take for granted as we wrap this thing up with two more other tourist questions I know you'll gravitate to
Yeah.
is don't take public restrooms for granted because they'll actually charge you, won't
Yeah,
they?
man. Yeah, yeah. In Spain, it's also the same. I mean, if you go in Spain to a cafeteria and then you say, "Hey, can I go to the toilet?" They're gonna tell you, "Of course." And mostly, if they see your face, if they see your face and it's the face of, "Oh my God, I have to go," they're gonna allow you. But here in the Netherlands, guy, it doesn't work like this. They are gonna take money from you, normally €1. So every time that you need to go to the toilet in the Netherlands, it's like you have to go to a cafeteria and beg, like, "Can I go to the toilet?" And even though they see you like you are like sweating, they don't care. It's like, yeah, but you have to pay or you have to take a coffee or have a beer. So yeah, don't take it for granted because here you find sometimes in these moments that is like, oh my God, how do they like money so much? Yeah.
Well, as I get ready to go on a water tour later, what do I have to look forward to? And then the follow up to that question
Yeah,
is this:
perfect.
what is the Netherlands known for? Why should people come here, and what industry is the most prominent one?
Yeah, I think they are like the best merchants in the world. So basically, when you come to the Netherlands, you have to be looking for one thing: businesses. I mean, businesses like, for example, in the houses, in the old houses, you're gonna see that mostly all the facades they are leaning to the front. They are not straight, and this has to do with the old merchants. The old merchants had to lift up all the goods that they were receiving from everywhere in the world, and they have like here a little beam and a hook with a pulley. They would lift everything up, but if the house was straight, the facade was straight, this would go up like just crashing against the facade. But then they learned that if this facade, instead of being straight, is like leaning to the front, then this movement would be like this. It's like a pendulum, but it would never crash against the facade. So that's why a lot of houses you're gonna see that they are leaning. People sometimes they are afraid. They are like, okay, this looks like they're gonna fall, but it doesn't have to do. It has to do with merchants and like this 16th, 17th century. Also, the canals. I mean, they are the best engineers, at least water engineers in the world. They have created a totally artificial country. So when you come here, you have to go to the canals. What you're gonna do, guys, it's the
Right.
best option. Just go, take a cruise. It's gonna take 1 hour, but then they're gonna let you know a lot of curious things about their culture, the water culture, and also don't forget that these canals they are made in order to serve as waterways to take all the goods from the harbors till the houses. All of them, they were inside of this Dutch East Indies company. So even though you were not working for that company, you would have assets. So you will have to bring all the goods to your house and through these pulleys, place them, store them in the attics, and then they would tell you you have to take them back because we're going to take it to Hamburg, and then they would take it to Hamburg.
So is Netherlands an import-export type of business, which it draws
Totally.
everything?
Totally. Actually, here we have this Rotterdam port, which is the largest port. They call it the port of Europe, and the torso of Europe basically is the largest in Europe. And nowadays, I think it's the 11th in the world. Till the 1990s, it was the largest port in the world, and that's why, for example, Hitler didn't blast or bomb this city of Amsterdam. He did it in Rotterdam because it was, it's like the weak point. Let's say if you have to destroy this country, I don't want to say this, I don't want people to destroy this country, but you would feel that Amsterdam is the capital city, but Rotterdam hurts. Rotterdam hurts because the amount of money that you make with that port here in the Netherlands, it's amazing. It's huge. It's like a 40 kilometers port, so that means that the economy in a big part of the cake depends on that port. So
Yeah.
it's important.
Well, that's amazing how you say Rotterdam, and I won't dwell on that because I'll do a little bit more work on it. But we talk about import, export, and all that. But tourism and the cruise ships certainly drive a lot to your economy, don't they?
Yeah, but look, for example, I was reading one time, and it's not that much money that they make with tourism. So it's not that kind of country that you can say like, yeah, but they have to treat us good because we make a lot of money and we give a lot of money. It's not the truth. Actually, in the Netherlands, I think that 10% of the economy depends on tourism, and in the city of Amsterdam, that achieves a 15%. So they know that they can already just close the frontiers, the barriers, the borders, and if no tourists come here, they are gonna feel it, but little. I mean, if you would do this in Spain, in France, that would be a quite collapse. That would be something because our economies are more into this tourism. But in the Netherlands, guys, it's not the same. They have another kind of economies. So that also makes you feel that you are not that important. It's not the same if you go to Valencia, the way they're gonna treat you there, the way they're gonna make you feel there. You're gonna feel that like you're at home. But if you come here to the Netherlands, it's not that they are not good. It's not that they are like not nice, but you're gonna feel it that in a restaurant, in a bar, you're not the first one. No, you're not the first one. They don't care about tourism. It's like, yeah, they have another, let's say, fountains of money.
Well, there's a reason why this guy's a tour guide.
Yeah.
Blast. This was a blast talking to you. My name is Scott
Yeah, man.
Morganoff. You're on the Motor City Mad Mouse Show. This is a worldwide broadcast that can be seen on our YouTube channel. And we see all these museums and all these beautiful people around here. And we appreciate you giving us an insight of the Netherlands first. And I would rather talk to you than visit these museums because that's what drives me anyway. So if you haven't subscribed to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, please hit the red subscribe button. I have a book out there, Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. There's a good, strong possibility Blast will be in there as well. So it's been a pleasure having you on the Motor City Mad Mouse Show.
Thank you,
And
man.
thanks for enlightening the whole worldwide audience of
Thank you.
Netherlands like it'll never be heard before. We talked about everything from prostitution all the way to windmills, etc. You name it, though.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you
touched
very
a
much
lot
for being
of
on.
topics. Yeah, man. I hope you enjoy it. I know that you're gonna enjoy it. Even you come here for one day. I mean, if somebody explains it to you, the good thing is always that somebody that lives here explain it to you, because otherwise you can get lost. I mean, there's a lot of weird things that you're never gonna understand. But if somebody has just explained it to you, suddenly the country makes sense, and it's amazing. The Netherlands is like a quite fascinating country.
A picture's worth 1,000 words, but you gave me a lot of words that a lot of people can definitely learn from, and I hope a lot of people enjoy this video and continue as we can find different ways on the network to promote not only our worldwide travels, but what we do on the network in general. Blas, once again, thank you very much for
Thank you
being
so
on the
much.
show.
Thank you so
Much
much.
appreciated. Thank
Good
you.
luck. Thank you.